on for 4 years in a row because this is such an important topic that we all need to be engaged in as a nation. Ms. Sinema, as you and I came in together, you've hosted this special order, and I thank you for calling it to the attention of America. Last year, I remember we stood here and we talked on the House floor talking about 22 suicides per day, but the current figures say 20. And I'd like to think that part of that reason for a decrease in that is the effort that you have inspired people to be more aware of this issue. And I hope that the veterans out there, the people in trouble, are watching C-SPAN tonight. And they're watching this presentation, this talk that's coming out of the heart for so many members of Congress, talking about this very important issue and letting them know that we're here, that we're aware of this. September is National Suicide Prevention Month. But as a country, we need to use this platform to make it a national priority every hour, every day, every month of the year. With a reduction of 2 suicides per day, it's a great thing, but 20 is way too many. Suicide is among the top 10 leading causes of death in the United States. I urge all Americans to take the time to learn the warning signs and where to find help for someone who may be struggling. From the brilliant comedian Robert Williams to bullied young kids to the brave men and women of our nation's military returning from the battlefield, suicide does not discriminate. Emotional pain and despair can set in and take root in the mind of all ages and across all demographics. And we're focusing on our military because the liberties and freedoms we experience in this country every day, and I'm shameful to admit that I take those for granted at times. But we only have those liberties and freedoms from the sacrifice, dedication, and commitment of the people that are willing to lay everything on the line for this country, along with their spouses, their children, and their family. Too many times the signs of suicide go undetected, which leave those left behind asking, why did this happen? What could we have done to help prevent this tragedy? I had a dear friend of mine who had committed suicide. I grew up with him. And I saw him reach out. And in a busy world, we're all consumed. And I feel guilty not putting a hand in there to do more to prevent that. And I know his family has suffered. I know the people around him have suffered. And I know there's a void in my life that'll never be refilled. And I often wonder, had I reached out, would things have been different? Often the signs, as I said, go undetected, which leave those asking, why did this happen? We can work beyond that. It's so important that we have an open and honest dialogue about the issue of suicide. The more we talk about it, the more we increase people's awareness and that there is help and there are alternatives. Today, a disproportionate amount of our nation's veterans are falling victim to suicide. After all they have given to this country, it is tragic and unacceptable that our nation's veterans often suffer alone until it's too late for those around them to help. Sometimes it's out of pride, sometimes it's out of fear, but they don't want to reach out. And as my colleague French Hill pointed out, at one point in this time in this country, there was over 500,000 beds in mental health facilities. We're down to 50,000. And I applaud the work of this Congress and Dr. Murphy, Tim Murphy, for bringing this to the spotlight. By shining a light on the veteran suicide issue, we as a nation start to understand the urgency to which we need to solve and prevent this epidemic that our veterans, not alone, but with their families and their friends, struggle with. Not recognizing the signs early enough all too often leads to that loss of life, that if only we were aware of those conditions, those signs, and we reached out, we called, we let somebody else know, we could have stopped that and saved a life, saved a family, and saved a veteran. Our government asks our men and women to please place themselves in harm's way, and we as a nation must come together to ensure a strong support system is in place to help them when they come home. And this begins with raising public awareness. Like any campaign, if you don't have public awareness, if you don't bring this to the forefront, it stays in the shadows, and the condition goes on, sometimes increases. And with public awareness and eliminating the stigmas associated with seeking help, this means connecting a combat veteran with mental health providers. And we heard the last speaker talking about telemedicine. That doesn't work for everybody. But for the person that doesn't want to go to a clinic or doesn't have access, it's a great way to go. And a lot of people prefer that. And we see that over and over again. This means additional mental health resources. And again, I'm proud that this Congress passed that bill and that the President signed that. And this means prioritizing a change in our nation's approach to recognizing the needs of others who may be suffering in silence, as I talked about my friend. Congress and the VA are working to enact changes that will help save our society, but we cannot do it alone, nor can they. It is the American people that will lead the way in changing the way society views, recognizes, and treat mental health conditions. And I saw this at a seminar, and this was so important to me. The mental health issue is not a partisan issue. We need to remove the stigma from mental health. Heck, look at other diseases. Many times it's a chemical imbalance. Just like a disease like diabetes or hypothyroidism, and you take a medication and you treat it. We don't stigmatize those. So why is there this stigma around mental health issues? It's going to be us as a society saying it's okay. We're here. The diseases aren't stigmatized, like I said, so why is mental health issues stigmatized? To the men and women whose pain has yet to be known, I say to you, I see you, and I hear you, and I'll acknowledge I may not feel what you're feeling. I may not feel your suffering, but I and others are here in the community offering our service and assistance in finding support and comfort in one another. It is together that we will survive. It is together that we survive as a nation, and we need everybody involved in this. I urge anyone who is suffering to reach out to those around you and ask for help. This does not mean you are weak or deficient. Asking for help often is the greatest sign of a warrior or of a leader. The enduring strength and perseverance you possess, and it often, so many times, inspires others. So many times, it inspires others, often unwilling to reach out for help, whether embarrassment or humiliation. Just know we are here and we welcome you home. My encouragement is that you call a local mental health clinic or your local VA or your Congress member if you need to. We're here to help you. You're never alone. Your country depends on you. Your spouse depends on you. Your children depend on you. And we, as a nation, depend on you. I thank my colleague again for the 4th year. Look forward to doing this with you next year so that when we report back, we're not at 22, we're not at 20, we're at 10. You and I, this Congress, and our nation can do that. God bless you.
Thank you.
I yield back.
Thank you very much, Congressman Yoho. It's been an honor to continue working on this issue with you.